Hi, this is Slaguth, and we're doing our second episode of the Tactical Debacle this week. We're playing a game against two AIx's. This is me, Slaguth, with my roommate, TheDougem, and
hello,
guest vonGreyson, who chooses to remain silent at this time. We will prosecute him later.
Sounds good to me. So right now we are focusing on TheDouge's base, and now we're not looking at my base anymore. But right now we're just trying to show you how quickly and how insanely fast the AIx builds. As you can see, he has like 5 factories up, and he's already starting to churn out transports and air units and all this crazy stuff. And I can barely build single units right now because I only have 1 factory.
So the AI in this game gets twice our resources and twice our build speed. So our challenge here is to defeat an enemy who can build faster than we can and also gather more resources than we have. So our plan in this game is basically that I'm in the middle, and TheDougem and vonGreyson are on either side of me trying to take up enough so that one of us can get off an attack.
Yeah, the idea was, since UEF is the ideal defensive faction because their structures are built to take punishment and they got crazy shields and whatnot, we would try to distract the AI enough so that Slaguth could get a great economy and support it. Since we're all on the same team, extra resources go to different players and whatnot. So yeah, we want him to be the economy player and we're the defensive players. As you can see, I'm already starting to take hits and stuff from landers. Now a navy is already starting to pound me.
In this game, both TheDougem and vonGreyson were fighting constant naval attacks. One of the things you can see here is that this radar, with the fog of war, we can't see hardly anything on this map. We can't see how much the AI has. We can only see that our stuff's getting attacked. So one of the goals of the game is to get enough radar up so that we can see.
Alright, now we're back at my base. You can see that my fledgling navy is already sunk to a degree. About earlier, when you see gray blips, that means that's stuff we see on radar.
And we're missing my tank attack.
Right now, my navy is getting completely annihilated. You can see my factory is busily working away as it's getting pumped full of torpedoes. I am trying desperately to save it, but it's not going very well. I have a fire base up there, and foolishly, I didn't put a point defense on the ridge, and I didn't take the time to build a torpedo defense. So I can blow up some of his ships, but I'm absolutely helpless against the submarines.
So vonGreyson has a tank assault that's moving north towards red right now. As you can see, his commander is actually walking up to deal with it, and he gets his commander down to about half health before all of his tanks die.
We were getting pretty vocal, as you can probably imagine.
There were a couple of times during this match where we almost had the AI dead.
I just killed 2 ships with artillery. How awesome is that?
Artillery is actually a critical assault force in this game because it allows you to keep long-distance units off of your bases and protect naval bases from your your central land base.
Yep. Right now we're trying to figure out what the crazy resource drain was happening with vonGreyson. That's why we keep pausing the game and whatnot. And the recording actually does capture when we pause the game, which is a little funny and kind of messes up our playbacks later on. But this is an example of one of vonGreyson's fire bases. You can see his artillery in the left-hand corner starting to bombard the field of fighters that decided to land outside of his base because they have absolutely nothing to kill. The problem is we can't get any kind of Air Force airborne for any length of time because the AI just spews out Tech 1 anti-airships, and they're incredibly effective at mobbing any airplane and destroying them within seconds. And it's kind of funny to see artillery blowing up airplanes. And right now the AI is sending in a shield ship and then leaves its fighters sitting there getting blown up.
So here's the second assault of bots.
And also you can see by my base there are walking spider ships engaging my fire bases. You can tell they're ships because of the upside-down U-shape of the icon.
They're actually naval destroyers, which are amphibious, so that they can actually climb up on land and walk into someone's base.
Which really sucks.
Here I've got an air assault coming in towards me. I've got Tech 3 anti-air gunships, which are some of the most powerful gunships in the game.
You see, they
defending my
completely
base.
destroyed like several dozen Tech 1 fighters.
But again, their Tech 1 fighters are just so numerous that it's hard to fight them off.
And I can see how much damage just a single one of those ships is doing to my fire base in the north. Right now, my base is actually doing pretty good. I got shields covering my important stuff in the south. I'm starting to just pump those things out like crazy. The problem is, if I leave some stuff unshielded for too long, it's too easy for the AI to pump a couple tactical missiles up my butt and destroy my stuff. That's our main concern early on, is the tactical missile defense.
So all of the enemy units, when they die, they leave these mass deposits which you can gather to gain extra resources.
And then your engineers get destroyed by attacking forces. But,
Well,
but see, that's how we kind of get a little positive balance against the AIx. They throw all the shit at us, but then we can reclaim all the mass that they put into making those units. So we have some prayer of churning out a bunch of stuff in order to destroy their stuff. So they're basically feeding us if we're actually able to send units out to reclaim it. That's a trick, because engineers are the only units that can do that thing, and they're usually very weak, unshielded, etc. What the heck's happening to my base?
you've got land assaults coming to your south, actually. The AI has taken over the mill, which is a huge advantage for them because that middle is actually filled with mass.
And you can see that the entire Navy that I worked so hard to churn out over the past 20 minutes of game time just got annihilated in several seconds. Unfortunately, the UAF Navy is incredibly weak, and it only is viable if it's able to have a few shield ships up to cover its boats. The other navies outclass it completely, and the enemy cruisers are able to spew out more tactical missiles than I can. They just destroyed my one shield ship.
You're also getting your ass kicked in score.
That's right. I got economy
this is the
locked.
match where I was also ahead of one of the... I actually managed to outscore an AIx for about 2 minutes, and then they just...
Okay, and what you're seeing right there is what's called a Soul Reaver. It is a Cybran, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an
a
experimental gunship, which is not too terribly powerful, but it's harassing him right there. And then here vonGreyson dies.
Oh my god. I managed to take down their UFO, but in the process it landed on top of my commander.
The problem with the UFO is that whenever it dies, it falls right where it is. So if it happens to be on top of you while it dies, it pretty much kills whatever's underneath it.
Yeah, any unit that falls from the sky does damage when it lands, and the experimentals just happen to do incredible damage. And you'll see that vonGreyson's entire base self-destructed. That's the gameplay style we're doing. We're doing assassination, so if the commander gets killed, their entire force disintegrates.
So I'm working on retaking vonGreyson's base here. I've got a little fleet of gunships out to take those naval ships out. But again, we're being overwhelmed by the AI here, so we're really in a losing battle. The TheDougem's being hit by experimental bombers, which drop large explosives.
Oh no, that's not yet.
Well, they're going over your base. You're not quite dead yet, but in a moment...
No, he
Here's another
just,
Soul Reaver.
yeah, he kept throwing Soul Reavers at me.
And probably
And-
strategic
No,
bombers.
that was a strategic
Oh,
bomber,
strategic bombers. Yeah,
because-
those are. You can essentially think of them as Tech 3 bombers. They drop tactical nukes. You can think of them, and yeah, he got me. One hit from one of those guys to take a commander down to half health.
So now both of my teammates are dead, and they're yelling their heads off because this is the fourth or the fifth time we've attempted this.
Take note of the playtime in the upper right-hand corner. This game has been going on for 46 minutes of game time, but because Supreme Commander has a memory leak or something, or something about the game is unoptimized, it slows down to about like half of real-world time or something. So this has been going on for a while.
We were at about 2.5 hours of
Well,
actual playtime.
They just tried to simulate too much because all of the shots are actually tracked through the game. The physics engine
And I see
tracks
Soul
the
Reaver
shots
crashed
and makes...
on you,
yeah.
Slaguth.
I actually... Yeah, so that Soul Reaver, I don't know why I'm not moving. I'm probably collecting it. But you can see he's got a second Soul Reaver coming towards me. And my gunships tried to rush his commander and just died.
And they got completely wasted.
Yeah, I just don't have enough forces to attack him right now. So that's the second Soul Reaver that landed in my base.
And see, that's a small advantage there. If you can kill them, you can collect them and get a huge, insane boost in mass.
Yeah, but at this point, it's all a futile attempt because
Yeah.
Slaguth is
I just-
1v2 when we couldn't kill them 3v2.
Yeah, and the AI is pretty darn quick about reclaiming old bases.
I can't multitask well enough to fight that many AIs at the same time.
Meanwhile, the AI can multitask perfectly. Although sometimes it gets distracted and starts behaving weirdly, but it is far more effective at that than we are in some ways. And here you can see the AI is throwing a bunch of strategic bombers at shields, and that's a viable tactic, to use strategic bombers to bust shields, and then send in other attack forces to go in and mess things up.
So here's another experimental land unit this time, and there I go.
Yep, and you can see it was creatively named Spider when the unit is called a Spider Bot.
No, it's called a Monkey Lord.
Oh, Monkey Lord, okay. Still, though, it's not much.
A
of
Monkey
imagination.
Lord that looks.
Although it's not much.
A
of
Monkey
imagination.
Lord that looks.